here in Las Vegas, but I used to live in Sunset Beach. So I rode up and down from the end of Balboa all the way up to Long Beach on a regular. I was living out there. That's why I have a 714, right? So I kept my number. I've got a great 714 number. But the reality is the fresh air, buddy, there's nothing like it.
Yeah, you're right. I'm gonna do that. I want to get out there.
Yeah, it's a special thing. And if you have the ability, I always encourage people just get out and go do it, because that fresh air is a lot different than sitting at home, maybe on those Peloton or whatever.
Right.
That is such a different animal. And frankly, I love it. I get to see wildlife, and I go at nighttime when there's really nobody out there too. Even the cops told me, they said that's the best time to go because there's nobody on the road.
Yeah, there's nobody on the road. Right. You're right.
Yeah. All right. So here we go. Let me go ahead, and I've got the stream going. Hello, everybody watching the stream right now. Let me just double check the stream. And I think we should be, there it is. Yep. We are on. It's on like Donkey Kong. Somebody told me that once. He lives down in Mississippi. So I'm like, all right, I'll drink that Kool-Aid. Okay. Remember, no foul language.
No, I understand. I mean, you just have to go.
I know you know. So here we go. Emma, that means you. I don't want to hear myself twice. No, Emma doesn't.
Foul language means like any, not even.
Yeah. Well, you could say ass if you need to. That's okay.
I just want to know, like, BS, is that bad?
Can't say that. Can't say shit. Cannot.
Okay, great. Okay, good. Okay, got it.
Yeah, same shit, different day. $100,000 fine. You know the story.
Wow.
Yes, they don't fool around. That's the FCC. That's the difference between everybody else's podcast and a real show, right?
Perfect.
So that's the story. Okay, so it looks like we are ready to go. I'm going to put it on speaker view. Everybody watching on YouTube, thanks for joining us today here with the great Arthur Sarkissian. And say it the right way, Emma. Don't say it wrong, and don't call him Art or Artie. Call him Arthur.
Thank you.
Yes. I don't think she would do that anyway. Okay, I'm just listen, everything's comical, right? Until someone gets punched in the face, it's always funny. All right, here we go.
Right.
Let me start my recording. All right, give me a second. One moment. Oh, redo. I forgot to start one thing. Let me hit the back button on this. I did forget one thing, so bear with me for 10 more seconds. Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from the AMP TV studio. Today's show is brought to you by uppercutchops.com. Uppercutchops.com. There's the punch sound, folks, in case you're wondering what the uppercut is. Uppercutchops.com for all the best prime Angus and Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you try their best ribeyes. The filet mignon, of course, those New York steaks, hell, even those half-pound Angus and Wagyu burgers will probably be the best you've ever had. Check them out at uppercutchops.com or give them a call and find out what's for dinner. 702-799-9935, 702-799-9935 for uppercutchops.com. All right, a big welcome in to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates and independents from coast to coast. Also, everybody watching on Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Time Warner, and Wild Cable Television, and also Hotel TV, gaining 4 million impressions per hour Yes, in every Nielsen rated market in America. We're here with a very special guest, along with our intern. We're going to get to her in just a moment, Miss Emma Brott. We have a very special guest. Let's let him introduce himself.
Arthur Sarkissian. And I am in the entertainment business, movie producer. And that's pretty much my introduction.
All right. All right, Arthur, thanks for joining us today. And we're going to go to our multi-view. Everybody watching on TV can see, here's the gallery. So that you see Emma, you see myself, and Arthur. Arthur, thanks for joining us. Always a pleasure. Of course, being here in Hollywood, what could be better but having a big-time Hollywood producer with us?
What could be better than that?
What could be better?
Just being healthy and happy and content with your life.
That's right. So Arthur, in 30 seconds, give everybody a quick rundown in case they've been living under a rock and they haven't seen your work. What have you done out there that people likely have seen?
Well, I've done, my movies are While You Were Sleeping with Sandra Bullock and Last Man Standing with Bruce Willis and Christopher Walken, which was directed by Walter Hill. I have done the Rush Hour franchise with Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker, Rush Hour 1, Rush Hour 2, Rush Hour 3. Recently, in the last 2 years, I did a movie with Michael Keaton and Sam Jackson and Maggie Q called The Protege. I also, a few years ago, did a movie called Kill the Irishman, which was with Vince D'Onofrio, Christopher Walken, and Val Kilmer. And I also recently finished a movie with, well, a couple of years ago, year and a half ago, with Liam Neeson called Memory, which was directed by Martin Campbell.
And you've also done some television too, haven't you?
Yes, I did a series in 2012 with Michael Chiklis and Dennis Quaid called Vegas, which was based on the life story of Ralph Lamb, who was the sheriff of Las Vegas from the late 50s to the 80s. Unfortunately, that show was kind of watered down, and it should have really been, because it was written by Nick Pileggi, who wrote Goodfellas and Casino, among other things. And we wanted to bring to life that era from Vegas with the gangsters and the violence and all of that. But, you know, for CBS, it was supposed to have been mellowed down. But now, of course, a different story. We are trying to get that going for one of the streamers, hopefully. And I did, my other one was, we tried to do Rush Hour for television, but it didn't work because there's not that many, well, there's nobody out there who can match Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan together.
Right. So Arthur, talk about managing the personalities or the challenges with a star-studded cast here, a star-studded cast here. I would imagine at some point, even though we don't really like to talk about it, and look, I dealt with that in sports most of my life. The reality is there are issues sometimes with egos and personalities, and maybe some need a little bit more spotlight than others. Have you dealt with that in all of your years of doing this? You've been in the rodeo for a long time.
Fortunately, I haven't had like huge personality issues with anybody, but it is really common with some people, I guess. Some stars, it's not that they're right or wrong, it's just personalities crash, certain things they request, and some are difficult, some are not. But I think, you know, the trick and the way into this is to try and find a way to kind of, what's the word, sort of roll into what it is that they want, without going yes sir or no sir or yes ma'am or no ma'am, and try and find that happy medium to give them a comfortable place to work so that they feel they can trust you.
Yeah, I can imagine that would be one of those spaces that you probably have to establish so everybody is kind of aligned right?
Yes.
We all take a turn. There's a lot of stars, whether
Yes.
you're on the field, on the court, on the set,
Right.
whatever it is, there are stars. Everybody needs their time because they're stars for a reason. It's not as if it's their first time in that rodeo. I mean, they've done this before, but everybody's going to get seen. And let's face it, they're making a lot of money because why? People like them, right?
Right.
Or they've been cast and somebody says, we like you. We want you to star in this particular role.
Right. I mean, the point is that, you have some that would willingly, if they're in a crowd or if they're in a street, they're willingly talk to, people, sign autographs or carry on a conversation. And there's some that completely shy away, that don't want to do that. It doesn't make them bad. It just is the way they are. Maybe they had experiences that they feel uncomfortable with. So it's just, when you meet that actor or that director or that person that you're going to work with, the fastest way of finding that connection that will give you an insight of how they are, how they feel towards anything, will give you a way of dealing with them.
Okay, so speaking of the cast members, I was wondering how much of a balance is there between the CGI and the actual stunts that are performed by actors like Jackie Chan, who are known for doing a lot of his own stunts? So can you tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, I've been, let's put it this way, maybe fortunate enough, or maybe, so recently there's so many action movies that are pretty much CGI driven, which is not something that I kind of respond to. Because to me, let's say, and I'm sure you've seen, cars going from one building into another 100 stories high, or hitting a train and going over 25,000 times. That is not realistic action to me. Realistic action in the recent, very past year that I could give you an example that I loved was mostly Maverick, Top Gun. There was CGIs with the planes, of course, but for the most part, it was sort of realistic action. And for Jackie, almost all the time, and the last Rush Hour I made was 2007, so I haven't done another one since. There really wasn't that much in the CGI world. I mean, I don't know if you saw Rush Hour 3 or not, but one of the CGIs we had, obviously, was when they parachute down from the Tour Eiffel in Paris into the water there. And of course that, they weren't on the parachute, but all the action stunts and fights and so on and so forth. I mean, Jackie has probably broken 100 bones for a fact doing his stunts. So yeah, I mean, my experience with CGI on the movies I've done are limited.
All
But
right.
so
Okay. So that said, if you've got all of those bones being broken, how do we handle the insurance? Take 30 seconds and talk about what it looks like in the budget for insurance for a guy like Jackie who's broken 100 bones. What does that look like when it comes to doling out the insurance policies?
Well, I mean, when an insurance company or insuring someone, they look at the person. Let's say in Jackie's instance, he's done this so many times that the insurer or the insurance company or whoever you're dealing with, they say, well, he's experienced in that world. He knows what he's doing. It's not like a first-time actor that says, oh, I want to do my own stunt and I want to jump from the 40th, story into the river. So there is always that, understanding that you're dealing with someone that's done it before. Insurance companies insure, I mean, they're not dangerous in that sense. If it comes to a matter of maybe life and death with one actor, it'd be a different story. But I haven't seen any issues with insurance companies bonding the movie with Jackie or anybody.
All right, folks, we're going to be back here with the great Arthur Sarkissian and Emma Bratt, who is our intern from Illinois State University, in just a few minutes here on the Sports Circus. Lots more to come, folks. Don't go anywhere.
Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC sports affiliates across North America, with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at 702-799-9935. Again, 702-799-9935, or email us at info@thesportcircus.com. That's info@thesportcircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
AMP, the multi-format network, is here to help create, produce, distribute, and sell your content. For more information, send a message to info@aamp.tv. That's info@aamp.tv.
Are you a small business owner or pursuing the dream of starting your own company? Do you know where to start or how to grow that existing business? The American Business Trust Company has the answers you need. The American Business Trust Company can help you with startup capital, business strategy, sales and marketing, and establishing your company with a physical location or on the internet. You decide. You bring the idea. The American Business Trust Company can help with the rest. For a free evaluation, you may visit them online at abtrustco.com. That's ABTRUSTCO.com, or call them at 657-600-1876. That's the American Business Trust Company, 657-600-1876. Call them today. They can help your business right away. Okay, 1 minute exactly. Sorry, I've got to let some of these run through.
That's okay.
Sure.
No problem.
All right. So pretty simple conversation, right? Easy stuff.
Yeah, it's not difficult. No.
No, this is Emma's second show with us.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
And what do you study, Emma?
I'm a journalism student at Illinois State University. So I'm doing a broadcast journalism internship for this summer.
Fantastic. Good luck.
Thank you.
Wish you the best.
Thank you so much.
Give her a chance to have a little bit of fun and talk to some people. I'm going to throw her into the fire and have her investigate a newspaper situation. That ought to be fun. Yep. And we're coming back in 10 seconds. So I fully produce this, and then it goes to post, and you know the story about that.
Right.
And it's distributed to TV. All right, here we go. We're coming back right back.
You're listening to the Sports Circus, and I'm Mike Golick.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas and in Hollywood today. The show is typically in Las Vegas, but guess what? We're in Hollywood today. Why? Because we're with a very popular guy in the entertainment business. We'll get to that in just a moment. Big welcome back to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast and our independents, including our friends over in Honolulu on CBS Sports 1500 KHKA. That's home of the New York Yankees and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Welcome into everybody over in Las Vegas on KJPT Jackpot Radio and KVGK, also NBC and NBC News and CNBC over in sunny Southern California, as well as Atlanta, Georgia, WDJY. That is covering the greater Atlanta market, as well as WAUD, home of the Atlanta Braves, And that's from Montgomery, Alabama, all the way over to Columbus, right out of Auburn, WBGY, Southwest Florida, and everywhere else, a bunch of points in between. If we did this the entire show, we'd run out of time. We'd already be at the segment break. All right, welcome back to everybody on TV and radio. You know who you are. And everybody streaming on YouTube, thanks for joining us here with intern Emma from Illinois State University and the great Arthur Sarkissian. You may have seen some of his films because he's done quite a few. And by the way, if you've seen any of those Rush Hour films, he's been involved there. So by the way, folks, why don't you give a nice round of applause like we are right here on the Sports Circus. Yes. And Arthur, in the last segment, I asked you about personalities and this and that, because it's kind of similar to being on the ball field, so to say. I'm a former baseball player, and I know there are personalities from time to time, but also I want you to talk about the idea of distribution for films, because look, there are personalities that go with other distribution houses, so to say, or paths. Maybe certain distribution paths want certain actors or actresses or whatnot. They like to work with certain people like that, or showrunners, right? And the idea of picking the path. Now, do you have a say? Go all the way back to the first Rush Hour. Did you have a say for your distribution of how that was going to work, or was that already set out in the funding part of it?
You mean when the movie is done, or when I am putting a project together? Because they're two totally different worlds.
When the film is completed, after you've gone to post. Yeah.
Yes. Then when the film is completed, the studio or the entity that is going to distribute the movie, in this case, New Line, they get together with the director, with the producer, with probably the representatives of the actors. Not necessarily the actors aren't in the room, but they come up with a plan of how they're going to market the movie. What TV channels, newspaper, interviews, so on and so forth. And we're very much involved together, all of us, in trying to, accomplish how we come out and promote the movie. But distribution by itself, the studio figures out the best time or the best month. Let's say a certain actor has another movie coming out within 6 weeks of the one they want to release, then they probably will delay that for a while, so you won't have a flood of the market of that particular actor. But the distribution is basically in their hands of how many theaters, and but everything else is collective. Marketing is very much part of everybody involved in the movie.
Yeah, I asked the question because very few people ever hear that side of what happens with this whole filmmaking thing. I mean, because let's face it, people like myself or Emma or the balance of the world out there, all we do, we see a trailer. Hey, that looks great. Let's go ahead and go see that film. But so much goes into once that film is technically done in post-production.
Absolutely.
And that's the reason I asked the question.
Of course, it's a very good question because, there are times where a certain trailer, as you said, you see that trailer, you say, well, God, I want to see the movie. And that's what makes good marketing. It's whoever designs and they show you the stuff and you approve them and they say this is the best way to go. And there's sometimes, and I have seen this happen, where there has been really good movies, but terrible promotion and marketing, and it's killed the movie. Nobody heard of it or nobody saw it because it wasn't sold right. And that's a very, very crucial part of this business, which is one of the reasons why mostly you tend to rely and fall in with major distributors as opposed to smaller ones, unless you have that singular exceptional places like A24 that did a great job selling everything everywhere all at once, which, was a smaller movie, a smaller distributor. They did a great job, but it's very, very important how to sell the movie.
It's interesting hearing about the distribution of it and the post-production process. And I was wondering a little bit about how putting together the movie works and how, especially with the Rush Hour series, how you kept that balance of action to drama and the storyline, and how that production process worked.
Well, I mean, if you want to know just about how it started, or do you want to know how Rush Hour came to be?
More about the balance between action
Okay.
and the storyline and the drama that keeps it interesting, that kept that series alive.
Well, once you get your script, that the director is the captain of the ship. At the end of the day, no matter what happens, once that green light, that button is pushed, he's the guy that runs the show, and he should. So you have to always trust the person that's directing your movie as much as you can. So basically, you read the script, he approves it, the storyboard is done, the action scenes, the dialogue scenes, everything is worked out, and you start shooting the movie. And the cutting comes obviously afterwards, where he is, the director is with the editor. You see rough cuts. They show it to the studio, the producers, and they, basically do the balancing as you go along. So you're reading the script, you may say there's too much dialogue here, or there's way too much action here. So you do all that process during your pre-production. And sometimes while you're shooting, you may change things in the script. It just all depends. But that's basically how you come down to balancing the action with the dialogue and the scenes. And at the end of the day, you hope that you have something.
Okay, so when you first did read over that script, did you have a feeling that this would be a hit?
Nobody knows anything in this business until it's done. When I developed this project, I originally was just sitting in my office thinking about a movie. I don't know, it was way before your time, but you should definitely see it. It was a movie called The French Connection, one of my all-time favorites. And another one that was with James Caan and Alan Arkin, which was a comedy called Freebie and the Beat. So my idea was I want to do a movie about an American cop and a Chinese cop. That's how it started in my head, a fish out of water. And then I told this writer to go and write the script. He wrote a script. It was good. We sold it. The company that bought it, the studio that bought it, didn't want to make it for whatever reason. They thought, oh, it won't work. And then another studio picked it up. And we did a rewrite with a terrific writer. And Jackie and Chris Tucker fell into the role. And nobody knew that it was going to be such a hit. They just had chemistry and it worked. You can't catch that chemistry by force or by trying, by putting more dialogue or by putting more funny scenes or forcing funny dialogue. It just won't work. It's either they have that chemistry between them or they don't. It's like Robert Redford and Paul Newman in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, or Sting, or some other movies, Lethal Weapon with Mel Gibson and Danny Glover. It's that chemistry between two actors, and that's why Rush Hour worked. They just it's like capturing something magical.
What's interesting about that here in our last minute or so of the segment is whoever is handling the casting on this, it seems like they've really done a magical job, and boy, have they done their homework. Would you agree or disagree?
I agree that casting directors very, very crucial when they're filling the secondary parts. Nobody wants to do the extras and stuff like that. I'm sure you've seen movies where you tell yourself, oh, that guy just walked across the screen and said this word. He must be a relative of the director or the writer.
Yeah. Well, hey, listen, Arthur, that probably happens from time to time, right? For you to even mention it, it absolutely happens. And so look, hey, let's face it, at some point, somebody knows somebody, hey, let's go ahead and get Josephine or whoever in there. And let's give them a quick line or something so they can get themselves an IMDb credit or something to that effect. Yep. Now, the Nonetheless,
That's not terrible. Absolutely not.
there's nothing wrong with that. We get credits. We actually get credits for doing this.
There's nothing wrong with it. There is nothing wrong with it.
It's fun stuff, but we're having fun here today, folks. Don't go anywhere. We got lots more to come here with the great Arthur Sarkissian and, of course, Emma Bratt, who is our intern from Illinois State University. Don't go anywhere. Back in a few.
Attention business.
Okay, they've already heard that one. So what's funny, Arthur? You're talking about the Las Vegas thing, right? Okay, well, and this is, let's face it, everybody on this who is going to hear the stream right now, they're going to hear this. But what's interesting is I grew up on the west side of Chicago,
right?
And that film, Goodfellas, Casino, better yet, Casino,
right,
was technically about some of the people that were on my lawn mowing and snow shoveling and leaf raking routes. You know what I mean, right?
Yes.
That's another discussion. If you're going to be around this week, I think I'm going to find myself in your area this week. And I typically stay in Orange County, but I don't mind taking the drive up. How far are you from there? Are you in the middle of LA?
I'm in Studio City. I mean, I could be anywhere. It doesn't matter.
Okay. Yeah. Because boy, I've got some very interesting stories. And this is stuff as a kid, I could tell, what's interesting. I live in Las Vegas and people say, hey, you live in Las Vegas. Why don't you go to the Mob Museum? I'm like, really? Yeah, effing moron. I grew up in that museum. What's the matter with you?
Unbelievable
discussion. Yeah. I mean, insights?
Yeah, definitely. I know. I mean, I was there. Ralph Lamb. I don't know if you know about Ralph Lamb, but he was an unbelievable character, an incredible figure there.
Yep.
Quiet, but so many stories about him. I just wish that we had done it for a streamer, because CBS is too, you can't have the violence, you can't have the grittiness.
Right.
But hopefully
they let me in on their sports stations.
I like CBS though,
They're for content, for certain things.
Yes.
They're very middle of the road.
Absolutely.
Stuff. Yeah.
Their shows are mostly procedural.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what, they wanted Vegas to be, about solving a murder and all that. It's just, it was good though. I mean, just didn't last more than a year, more than a season.
Arthur, you want to bring us back from break and promote your projects? You do that?
No, I'm going to leave it to you.
Good. We'll let Emma bring us back from break then.
Yes.
Why not? And I'll cue you. Watch my 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then point and start speaking. And don't say, hi, this is Emma. I'm going to give it back to Sal. No. Welcome back to the Sports Circus. Tell them who you are. Tell them what you do. And then throw it back to me. All right. We're coming back right now in 5 seconds. Watch for my cue.
Hey, everybody. This is Barry Katz from the Industry Standard Podcast, and you're listening to the Sports Circus with Sal Tuzzolino.
Hi, my name is Emma Bratt. I'm a broadcast journalism intern at the Sports Circus this summer. You're listening to the Sports Circus, and thanks for having me on, Sal.
All right, next round of applause for Emma. And welcome back to everybody on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast, all of our independents. Also, everybody watching on Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Time Warner, and Wow Cable Television, and Hotel TV in over 600,000 rooms from coast to coast. Folks, you can't get away from us. We gain over 4 million impressions per hour. Nobody else does that one. And that I can say for a fact. Yes. All right. Make sure to check out the sportscircus.com for upcoming guests or prior guests or recorded shows, which are our podcast, even though we technically don't do a podcast. We do a live show. So if we screw up, guess what? It's out there. What we don't do, though, is we don't fix it in the mix and we don't cut anything out. Except, of course, if you're saying something bad, because that might cost a little bit of money. Nonetheless, we're here with the great Arthur Sarkissian. You may remember him, or you may have seen him from all those films, especially those Rush Hour series films, right? We've got those, and While You Were Sleeping, The Protege, Last Man Standing, et cetera, et cetera. Arthur, of course, welcome back into the show. Arthur's got lots of stories to tell, and the best part about it is he's a really cool guy, easy to talk to, and I like that, and he also likes fitness too. Talk about your fitness and your work, that life balance.
Well, I think being fit or working out, doing something active really works your brain very well, freshens it. And it's a very big part of my daily life. I started working out back in 1984. Go to the gym 4 times a week, 5 times a week. And as a matter of fact, when I don't work out and a few days goes by when I'm traveling and the circumstances are such that you can't, it makes me feel really dull and stale. So I have to make sure that I do that in order for me to be able to attend to my work. So I try to balance it and find the time. There's always a way to find the time to do whatever you need to do.
You know, what's interesting is I will talk to people from all over the world, and I hear this one on a regular basis. Well, you know, I don't have time to go do this and that. And so I like to ride a bicycle, and I ride for hours at a time. They say, well, how do you find the time? Like, well, look, instead of sitting in front of the TV with a bag of chips, right, maybe you can get out and go do something and exercise. It's good for your brain. It's good for your body in general. And let's face it, you feel healthy, you feel better, and then it's addictive, right? So you'll start eating a little bit better too, right? Absolutely. Because you get on that roll and you don't want to find yourself going backwards, whether you're just maintaining, maybe you want to lose a couple or gain a couple extra pounds, because some people just can't. But the reality is you're supposed to get out there and exercise. So get out there and do it. That's how I look at it. Emma, what do you do for exercise?
Well, I'm actually a hockey instructor, learn to skate instructor at the rink that I grew up playing at. So I actually stay active that way. I skate around all day. We also have sports camps. We do tennis. So it's really good that I'm able to do work while also being active.
So Arthur, in case you didn't know, Emma is a former goalie. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, this girl can play hockey. She knows how to take a hit. She knows how to stop a puck.
Wow.
She is no joke.
That's great. That's a great sport, actually.
Thank you so much.
Arthur, what's your favorite spectator sport?
Mine?
Yeah.
Oh, mine. Soccer. And I kind of took a lot of liking to basketball, and I'm a big fan of basketball. And the main reason for that was Kobe Bryant.
Right. Kobe, probably in my lifetime, probably the best pure shooter I've ever seen.
Yep.
I mean, he didn't really defend that well, but man, this guy could just shoot like nobody I've ever seen before. It's unbelievable. Really. Too bad he left us a little early, but at the end of the day, if you got a chance to see him live, it's like I grew up watching Michael Jordan in Chicago. I mean, if you're the best player at both ends of the court, offense, defense, something tells me you're probably pretty good at basketball.
Yes.
But I never saw a great shooter like Kobe ever.
It was terrific. Absolutely terrific.
Arthur, do you get to watch any hockey games?
I do. I sometimes go with my son. He's my younger one is 18 years old. Now he's 18 and he loves hockey. And we go sometimes to the games, and I do watch on TV with him, but I haven't played it. I mean, I played hockey in England back in 1960 for boarding school, broke my ankle when I got hit, but that was just about the extent of me in that world.
Oh boy.
All right. So speaking about hobbies and lifestyles outside of work, I was wondering how you balance being a former fashion designer before being a producer. So I was wondering a little bit about how much creative control you might have on set that may have been influenced by your experience being a fashion designer.
That's a really very good question. And that's, I mean, if I really want to answer that in full, it's going to be a long one. So I'm going to try and give you the short version of it. My passion was always for film. I always loved movies. I was 5 years old when I saw my first movie with my dad and just fell in love with it. And that's all I cared about. Circumstances took me to England, ended up in boarding school, finished boarding school, went to London, and my parents did not let me come to the United States to study film directing, which is what I wanted to do. So my next passion was styles, colors, and clothes. So I basically very accidentally fell into designing clothes, and Vinci was probably one of the most successful boutiques in London, which I started in 1973. I was, I think, 23 or 22. But my love for movies never left me. So I always thought about, I've got to do movies. So left that, came over here, and I started doing movies on the set. It's a matter of, it's not so much control, because you put your trust in the hands of your director. That's the most important thing. As a producer, you can, suggest stuff. You work on the script with your director. You read the one draft and you say, maybe this would be this, that. You give ideas. If they accept it, great. They may argue with you and say, no, I don't think this is right. That's correct. This isn't correct. It's just, it comes down to a collaborative effort. But to say that I would have complete control, no. And I shouldn't. That's not. A creative producer is one that could see the vision of the others, as long as he or she can put their trust in that person that's going to direct the movie and run the show.
All right, that's really interesting.
Thank you.
Okay, so Arthur, I have to ask you this.
Yes.
What is your appetite for art?
For art?
Not being called art. No.
No.
No, not that. No, but what?
I love art. I mean, I love to look at nice paintings. I'm not an expert by any means. The only thing I can tell you is, if you consider old movie posters as art, that's one of my passions.
Well, it kind of is. I mean, let's
Yes.
face it, there's so many different forms of art. I love old
Right.
movie posters.
Right.
When I look at those, I have a few of them around, the old Gone with the Wind ones, etc. I like that stuff because I really love Art Deco type of things.
Yes.
And a lot of the old movie posters really sing to that. Take 1 minute
Absolutely.
about that.
Yes.
No, go ahead. Take a minute and talk about that.
Okay.
About what you think about those Art Deco type of posters.
Well, they're absolutely gorgeous. I mean, some of them today, they're selling anywhere between $2,000 and $500,000. I mean, it's crazy. People used to throw these things away. I have one behind me. I don't know if you can see it. Hell's Angels. That was Howard Hughes with Gene Harlow. That's very Art Deco. Casablanca had some versions, and it's different versions. It's like when you see the French version or the Italian version, there's some gorgeous stuff, and it is absolutely heartwarming. And I love to collect them. I love to look at them, but they're big, and there's only so much room you have in your office or your place to put them up. But I'm a very strong believer that movie posters from the old days, from the 20s, 30s, 40s, some 50s, are very much an art form, definitely.
That they are. All right, folks, we're going to be back here with Arthur Sarkissian, big producer in Hollywood. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come here on the Sports Circus.
Can't be fun at the old ballpark, friends. Hi, pop fly. That would be a home run in a phone booth. I don't know what the big deal about Cracker Jack is. Did you ever go and buy a pack of Cracker Jack thinking you'd get a prize and find no prize in the box? Here's the pitch. That might not sound important to some people when you're a little kid, especially from a humble origin, and they cheat you out of a prize. There's a bouncing ball. Second baseman has a Barbary over to first. It's hard to think in laudatory terms of the product.
I think if there was an occasional box of Cracker Jacks that found no prizes for the little Harry Carey many years ago.
You got that right. And boy, when a box of Cracker Jack to me meant a lot of money. Here's a pitch bounce foul. That's the most asinine marketing I've ever heard of. One ball, one strike. These guys say, well, you sing about Cracker Jack. I said that I only sing it because it's in the song. Here's a pitch foul back. And I wouldn't be a bit surprised, even to this day, some youngsters who buy a box of Cracker Jack don't find a prize in the box. One ball, two strikes, 2 out. Well, if you're going to talk about a congressman being crooked, here's a pitch foul on a play. Why not talk about commercial products who don't do what they represent to do? There's a smash to Squires. He's got it. 1, 2, 3, nothing across. We're going to the bottom of the 7th now to score. All tied up. Milwaukee 4, the White Sox 4. Hey! Everybody! All right, Nancy, let me hear you. Right. If they don't win, it's a shame. 3 strikes, you're out. There's a drive. Way back. It could be.
Sal?
Holy cow. This crowd is wild.
Hey, this is Tommy John, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live in the AMP TV mobile studio in Hollywood today. Folks, make sure you check out thesportscircus.com for our upcoming guests, our prior guests, or recorded shows, which are podcasts. They can be found on all platforms, whether it's Apple or Spotify or iHeartRadio, Google, Amazon, Audible, you name it. We're there. You can't get away from us. Also, make sure you check out the upcoming schedule. Lots of great featured guests on there, but also the partners page, really important. The College of Southern Nevada Athletics is one of those partners. Been with us since the very beginning, a couple of thousand shows ago. And guess what? They're still with us today. Make sure you go to the csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. That's csncoyotes.com for the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Yes. All right, welcome back to everybody on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates and independents from coast to coast. Everybody on TV, on YouTube, thanks for joining us as well. Back here with the great Arthur Sarkissian, who is a filmmaker, a writer. He's done it all. And guess what? He's an exercise guy and a pretty cool guy as well. You know, this guy's got a lot of insight. You really need to listen to him. And I'm not just saying that because he's on here. He's kind of been in the rodeo for a minute. So I think he knows just a little bit about life, the film business, and a whole bunch more. We're talking about art, not art, but art as in on the walls or whatnot in the last segment. So we talked a little bit about your appetite for art, but also what about going to the museums? Have you done that? Have you ever tried your hand at maybe drawing or painting or something like that as well?
Not really. I've been to lots of museums here. I've been in Paris. I've been in London. But it's not like, I've tried to paint. I just admire looking at beautiful art. My favorite, I tend to kind of go back to the old American West. I don't know, love landscapes and stuff.
So Arthur, let me ask you this. When you have a break from all your duties in the film business, right? Yes. Film and television. So you've been doing this for a minute for sure. But when you get a break, how do you spend your time? And what do you really do outside of maybe a little bit of exercise, maybe spending time with the family? What do you really like to do that nobody really knows?
Okay. Well, I love watching movies. I love being outside, peaceful areas. I tend to go to sort of mountainous places like Tahoe, or pick any place that you can envision being on top of a mountain with a lot of trees, a river, just peaceful, quiet. I like smoking cigars. And I spend time going to dinner with my friends. I am not, now that you have brought me back into the bike world, I'm going to start biking. I'm really looking forward to it. But that's it, pretty much easy. Nothing incredibly extravagant. Travel, take a couple of trips here and there. But mostly I like to be with my family.
All those things sound great. And it was actually really interesting to hear that you like to watch movies in your free time. So I was wondering, what's your favorite genre of movies that you like to watch? Is it different from the ones you like to produce?
To me, for producing, there isn't a particular genre that I like. I look, and the first and foremost thing to me is the storyline. I have to love the storyline and the characters. I don't look at anything else. It could be a story about, a love story. It could be a romantic comedy. It could be a slapstick comedy. I loved Airplane. I loved Sleepless in Seattle. I love action movies. I like tough action movies. The Wild Bunch is one of my favorite Westerns. But I was raised on Westerns since I was a kid. So I tend to go to that place in my head. But I love, as I said, I love every kind of movie as long as the story and the characters are there. And then sometimes you see an action movie, which is a direct ripoff of something else, generic, artificial, it feels forced. No, unique. I mean, that's where I let my head go.
I like those for a few dollars more, the
Yes.
good, the bad, the ugly. I love those because there's not a lot of lines in it, but there's so much that's implied in it. So you really got to pay attention to the nonverbal that's going on.
Right. Well, Fistful of Dollars, just to make a point of it, it was a remake of a Japanese movie called Yojimbo, which Akira Kurosawa directed with Toshiro Mifune. And it was a terrific movie. Sergio Leone, the Italian director, just decided that he could just take that story and make it into a Western. And I saw that back in Iran in 1963, I think it was, or 62, I'm not sure. And I sat through it 3-4 times. I loved it. And that Last Man Standing that I made with Bruce Willis is a remake of Yojimbo. So it's like a trilogy of Yojimbo, Fistful of Dollars, Last Man Standing. One was a gangster, one was a Western, the other was a samurai movie.
Just great movies and I love the fact that watching those movies, maybe from that 60s, 70s time, whatever, those Westerns, I grew up watching Westerns with my dad all the time. And he was like, oh, watch this picture. They always call them a picture. I want to see this picture. Right. And so we always watch the Western pictures, but I loved them because it's what I grew up with, but also I love the fact that there's a lot of action and you don't always have to have talking going on. You don't need a dialogue going on because they actually allow you to enjoy the scenery as well as what's going on with that storyline.
Absolutely. I'm glad you went to movies, you went and saw Westerns with your dad like I did. So you must have seen Rio Bravo.
Yeah, of course. Who hasn't? I mean, from that time, who hasn't?
No, I know.
That's
I
good.
wish. Anyway.
So Emma, Arthur, hold that thought for a second. Emma, I want you to pick up on your last one because I know Emma had a bunch of questions. She doesn't have time for a bunch of questions. She's got time for one more question, and then we're going to have to call it a day. Go ahead, Emma.
Okay, so this is kind of a continuation, of the last one, but since you said you really focus more on the storylines versus the actual genre of movies that you like and that you like to produce, what was your favorite storyline from all of the movies that you helped produce?
My favorite storyline was While You Were Sleeping. I just loved that story. And when I first heard it, when the writers were telling me the story, that said that they'd been all over town, every studio, and everybody fell asleep because originally the title of that movie was Coma Guy. And they all thought it was old fashioned and nobody would see it. So I was their last stop. And I loved the story so much that I financed the script. And then the same studios that were turning it down were bidding on it. So that brings me back to saying to you, nobody knows anything. You just take your best foot forward and you believe in what you do. You don't give up on it. And the chances are you'll pull through.
You know what? I love that you said about the financing part of it, because I always tell people, if you believe in yourself, bet on yourself. Yeah. But so many people are scared to take that leap. Well, I don't know. What if it fails? So what? Yeah. Let it fail.
You learn. You learn by failures. Absolutely.
Right. And here's Emma with us today. I mean, the possibility or the probability, nonetheless, of Emma being in this dialogue, I think it's wonderful because it's a real long shot. But at some point, you got to give people a shot to sink or swim. And hopefully they're going to swim. I think Emma's doing actually a pretty good job with us. We'll give her a round of applause. We're going to come to applause, though, just because. She's got a lot to do, but she's doing very well.
Great.
Thank you.
All right. So, Arthur, we've got just a few minutes left. What do you want to get out there to the masses? What do you want to promote? Take some time and talk about your projects, what you're working on, let everybody know how to follow you, etc.
Okay. Well, following me, I mean, on Instagram, I have an account on Instagram. I don't go much on social media that much. I don't know. But what advice can I give them? I mean, if there are filmmakers out there or they want to be filmmakers, don't listen to everyone. Just if you have it in your guts, if you want movies, if that's what you love, you want storytelling, as you said, just take that leap. What if you fail? It doesn't matter. Get up again. It's how many times you get up that makes you successful in the end. So you don't doubt yourself and you keep going as you put your blinkers on and you move forward. That's my advice to everyone there. And as far as my projects are concerned, I'm working on a number of stuff. I've got a couple of Westerns. Hopefully keeping my fingers crossed for Rush Hour 4, which should be coming up hopefully soon, and a few other things.
Well, I love the fact that you've got a lot of irons in the fire, because let's face it, folks, you've got to keep yourself busy. If you're not busy, then you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You can't stare at four walls and a ceiling and say, well, I guess this is what I'm supposed to do. Get your ass out there and go do it. Go make it happen, because if you don't make it happen, no one's going to make it happen for you. And just like in this show, you never know what's going to happen. I mean, we kind of don't really know where the dialogue's going. And that's the part that I love about it. We're not going to go back and fix it in the mix. We don't have to do that. People need to know that this dialogue is genuine. We haven't altered anything. We don't plan on it. It's just not what happens. So sometimes somebody will call in the middle of the show. They'll pop in on screen. It could be a Hall of Famer in the sports world. It could be a film producer. You never know. And you never know. In future episodes, maybe Arthur says, hey, I want to join the show today. So what does he do? He pops in, and guess what? We're talking to a baseball Hall of Famer or something.
Right.
He knows where the conversation is going to go. We've had this happen several times. That's what happens here on the Sports Circus. It's a circus. And guess what? We prove it every day. All right. So Arthur, I'm going to give you the last word for everything and everything Sports Circus. Go ahead.
Well, I wish everybody good luck. Sal, I wish you good luck. What I've heard here that I really like is the fact that everything is right there. You don't edit. You don't do anything. It's genuine. You never know what your next question is. You're not prepared. I've never, ever prepared a speech. And you're just you are you, and you put yourself out there, and that's it.
That's
good
right.
luck
All
to everyone.
Arthur, thanks for joining us. Emma Brott, our intern from Illinois State University, thanks for joining us as well. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, and we'll see you in about 23 hours right here on your favorite station. Until then, so long, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.